Hey, welcome back. So, today on this old kit is the Academy M113A2. Now, this has been out, just like the Tamiya Corsair I just reviewed, for about 25 years. Academy in the early days used to copy, let me just zoom that out, used to copy everybody under the sun's kits until they got some confidence in their building abilities and started modifying everybody's kits, let's be honest. One of them was the M113 by Tamiya, which had and still has a lot of issues. This is, from all accounts I've read online, is the most accurate we have at the moment M113 kit, unless one of the new players decides, hey, I want to build the latest and greatest M113. I don't think we're going to see much new for a while. So give it a week or two and somebody's going to announce they're doing a new M113. That's the way it works. I used to build a lot of these. I was a real IDF fan, and I went through countless Tamiya kits back in the day. And one of the things I really like about this kit is the idler wheel. It actually looks like an M113 idler wheel. Tamiya ended up making this part virtually one big block behind the front piece right here. And that was because they needed to have somewhere for the poly cap to fit. Academy made it so that the poly cap does fit. It's not 100% accurate, but it looks a hell of a lot better than the old Tamiya kit. So that's one plus for it. And we'll just zoom back out here so you can see the part tree. Otherwise, not much change. They still have the wheel for the motorized version, and actually, I think Academy did release a version that was motorized. Just old school road wheels. They're not two-piece or anything. They're not bad. They look like an M113 road wheel. And then the next part, tree. There we go. So let me give you a couple of different options for the trim vane. And again, I don't think there's much difference from the Tamiya kit at this stage. I think there's some refinements in some of the parts, but actually that's a change. I think the Tamiya one went all the way down. Should have got one of those and compared them. Now we get into some of the changes. So this is for the A2 kit, and you get a bent 50 cal. You're not going to use that anyway. You're probably going to replace it with a nicer 50 cal. What do you use as a 50 cal? What's your go-to 50 cal when you're building 1/35 scale kits? Because I want to know, because I'm going to build this. So what would you replace it with? Leave a comment down below. I'm really interested to hear what you have to say on that. Last time I built a significant amount of armor was 15 years ago, so everything's changed since then. Okay, getting back to the kit, they do include the external fuel tanks, which a lot of armies adopted. And they give you smoke grenades for the American style mounts. That was on the A2, they put them up front. There's a mount for an M47 Dragon. Gave the M113 a bit of firepower in case they did come across a tank or another APC. They'll equally ruin both days. The larger trim vane, which was basically styrofoam, just to give it some extra flotation, and a couple of figures, and they're not bad. They're a starting point. I'll keep them. I'll clean them up, add some putty to them, make them a little more presentable. But at least they included something, and they go the extra distance. You get the Fritz helmet, boonie cap, BDU hat, and then you get the tanker helmet from the 80s. M something or other. I can't remember what the number was. Some Alice butt bags and some Beretta holsters and just some other parts. You get a water cooler. That's about it. It's a nice addition. Everybody started doing or trying to add these things on in the late 80s, early 90s. I think it was realizing the impact Verlinden had on the hobby and how hobbyists were expecting more and wanted to do more with the kits. So Academy was one of the companies, and Tamiya also did. They started to include extras like this. And some of the upper hull pieces. There we go. And not much change, but you do get, they did add some interesting extras, like the straps for the interior. Reminds me of the old TTC Red Rocket subway cars, and they had straps you could grab onto. You get the ACAF shields. They were, they're not shown on this kit. Another 50 cal. This is a more modern version, which again is warped, and for the day it was passable. I don't think it's great today. Some stowage. I'm going to use the value gear that I showed in the previous video. That's about it. And we got 2 sprues of interior pieces. I don't know my engines well enough. The Tamiya kit was based on the very early M113, not the A1, but the M113, which was gasoline powered. So I'm assuming Academy just copied the same engine. The A1 and all subsequent M113s used a diesel engine. So check your references if you're going to do a diorama where they're doing something on the engine, because, as Morrissey said, somebody somewhere with a big mouth who knows. And the interior parts, again. Check your references, because I remember the Tamiya kit, there was something to do with this door, and it made it out to be the gasoline version, and the diesel was a little different. Academy put in a better gas tank than what was in the M113 kit. Again, I think the gasoline tank, the fuel tank, because this would be diesel, evolved. I am trying to remember the differences. It's been a long time. It looks relatively the same with the exception of the gas tanks here, or water cans, I guess those are. They might be modern fuel. Every Army's got a different one. Radio, not too bad. I wish somebody would do some American radios from the 80s. I know Verlinden had the NATO radio sets. I wish I could find one. If you got one, you want to sell it, send me a line. That's it for the interior parts. And then polycaps, well, not going to go into a lot of detail there. The hull. Basically a box. It says Academy at the bottom. Now, I recently found a picture I wanted to share with you from the National Archives in the United States. The model companies lie. They don't actually say Academy or Tamiya on the bottom. This is what they are, or how they look. You already knew that. Okay, now the tracks. Now, for the day, they weren't bad. They're rubber bands, and as you can see, they're being a bit flaky here. They're well detailed. Like they do look like M113 tracks. I'm sure link and length tracks, individual link tracks, whatever you want to call them, would be nicer. It's just, I was an aircraft modeler. I got back into tanks. Or I got into tanks, and I bounced back and forth. I always wanted individual link tracks. back when I was a teenager working in the hobby shop, but you had to get them for model casting in Japan, and they were expensive, and they didn't have them for every tank you wanted. But now they're everywhere, and they're a pain in the ass. I've got a Sherman that I was really excited about building until I realized not only did I have to make, I think there was 5 pieces per track. Is that right? Yeah. Now, I'm building Radley Walters Sherman in Normandy. So, of course, not only do you have the running gear tracks, you have all the tracks they piled on. So, it's on the shelf of doom, and I don't want it to be on the shelf of doom. So, those are my feelings about tracks. Anyway, we'll see. These may get replaced. Clear parts. So they give you some water bottles and then what looks like beer bottles to me. Hit a clear brown or clear green will make all the difference in the world on these. And the beacon, which I wish somebody'd make a whole, tree of beacons. It'd be nice to have for all the 80s projects or any peacetime, peacekeeping. Well, you wouldn't have peacekeeping, but any peacetime vehicle on maneuvers or exercise. The decals are disappointing. Yeah, they're not the greatest. I think they're very early silkscreen. These kind of look like what's in an M113, but it looks like they've been lifted from a very badly copied manual. We'll have to see if there's some others available. I did my own 20 years ago when I was selling Alps decals, but sadly the consumables for amps pretty much disappeared, and what was available was 3 times the original price, and it made it prohibitive for trying to sell decals commercially. So I might print some of my own off. I'll have to see. I won't be using these though, well, if you want to use them, use them. I'm not saying how to build your model. You paid for it. So, the instructions, and they're early Academy, and they are nothing to write home about, but they're pretty clear. Yeah, they're not bad. They're, they tried to emulate Tamiya. I think they did a good job of emulating. That's a polite word. The only criticism I'll throw out is the color scheme. It's absolutely, actually it's not. That's NATO. And on the box, they show a Murdoch scheme. So if you're doing a NATO scheme, knock your socks off. The colors aren't correct. It should be NATO green, NATO brown, and NATO black. Tamiya makes those. So yeah, if you want to do the up-to-date NATO scheme on it, go for it. There's tons of references on the internet if you want to do an earlier Murdoch scheme. The other option, paint it desert tan. A lot of them were left that color after Desert Storm. So that's it. That is the Academy M113, and until somebody makes a better one, that's going to be my go-to. Hope you enjoyed this. If you didn't, other videos are available. If you did like it, please give it a like, subscribe, and ring the bell for future notifications. In the comments below, what's your go-to M113 and what's your favorite M113? There's so many of them. I'm looking forward to hear what, from you. What is your favorite? Remember to check our website. We've got some good articles up there. We've got the Tamiya Paint database. If you're interested in this or some books on the M113, check out my Kitco links, and you'll find links to books you can buy, models you can purchase, and hats. My hats are up there. And I will be doing a book of US M113s and their variants soon, and that'll be available to my Patreons. or patrons on Patreon. You can check the links below to join that. And until the next video, that's it from me. Got a few more coming up. Click on one. Hope you enjoy it. Have a good evening, or morning, or afternoon, or at whatever time is available by you.